What's up, everybody? You know who I am. I am David, aka Preacherman, and welcome to the Frazier Chronicles podcast, where today I'm going to be talking about capital punishment. Now, before we get started, I want you guys to go ahead and subscribe to this channel, and I want you guys to also go when you get a chance, an opportunity to go and look up our sponsor, decalworlds.com, decalworlds, and that's with the Z.com. Check out the sports merchandise that they have on their website, and make sure, go over there and give them some likes on Facebook, Instagram, and on their website as well. And before we jump into this podcast, I want you guys to make sure you go ahead onto the Frazier Chronicles website and check it out, www.FrazierChronicles.com. Go check out the website. Has some has some great merchandise for you and your family, and some gifts on there as well to get for you and your family, and support Frazier Chronicles at the same time. You can also donate on Frazier Chronicles website. Again, that's www.FrazierChronicles.com. Now let's jump into this podcast right here, where we're talking about capital punishment. And capital punishment, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the punishments that really is a punishment by death, being put to death or whatnot. So here we are. What is capital punishment? And I think everybody needs to first off understand what is capital punishment. And I want you guys to understand that when you're looking at a lot of things going on in the world, it's time to really understand what are we really talking about when we say capital punishment. So here it is, guys. This is the definition. The definition of capital punishment is the legal authorized killing of someone as punishment for the crime that they have committed. Okay? It is the legal authorized killing of someone as punishment for the crime that they have committed. And I want you guys to really think about that and dig deep on that definition, because we are in a place where we are taught that we are not to kill, and if we kill, there are consequences, right? So this part of capital punishment is the consequence for the action that someone does when they commit a crime that allows capital punishment. Now, there are some other words for capital punishment out there: the death penalty and execution. Those are two big words that you will hear the news say, and those are two big words that you will read in the paper when it comes to capital punishment, ladies and gentlemen. And when you hear those words, death penalty, execution, obviously they're talking about basically the legal way of ending someone's life due to a crime, again, that they committed. And the origins, let's talk about the origins. I want to break this thing down. I think it's imperative to break it down for a lot of you out there that are listening and looking through the different lenses of podcasts that I bring forth here with Frazier Chronicles. And I want to talk about the origins. What is the origins? The origins basically means, let's talk about what origins mean. Origins means basically, where did we get this from? So if you're talking about the origins of your family, right? Where did it start, right? That's where we're talking about when we're talking about capital punishment. The origins. Where did capital punishment start? How did we get here? Did capital punishment just come out of the 18th, 21st century? Or did it come out of some early years? And if you want to look at the origins, you want some origins, here we go. The origins come from early international countries, okay? It is also found in the Old Testament of the biblical scripture. So if you are a type of person who may be religious, as you know, I am the preacher man. I'm a little bit religious. I'm not going to say I'm totally religious, but I like to practice and look at scripture myself. Okay, so, and it's found in the Old Testament biblical scriptures. And when it comes to America, let's talk about America now, because again, it comes from early international countries. Okay, it's also in the Old Testament, which are biblical scriptures. But when it comes to America, it is said that Great Britain was said to have an influence on the Americans, the Europeans, who happened to to land on the Native American soil, okay? And and that keyword Native American soil is because Native Americans were here. I know you guys think that Christopher Columbus basically found new land that was not occupied at all. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not facts, okay? But again, not here for that discussion. We're talking about capital punishment. So I'll stay on capital punishment. Anyways, so they came here on Native American soil. And again, they were influenced, okay, to bring that type of punishment here to this country that we call now the United States. So here we are in the 21st century, and we are looking and hearing about people who are basically being put to death under the law of capital punishment, okay? When we look at the types of executions here in America, because there are different types of executions. Some here, now listen to this, some are no longer practiced, while some are. Now, again, you heard me say there are some that are no longer practiced, while some are, and then some are coming and making a comeback. So let's talk about the list. Let's go over this list real quick. So the first one is hanging. As we know, hanging is lynching. The second one is electrocution. The third one is lethal gas. The fourth one, lethal injection. The fifth one, firing squad. All right, so there are 5 different types that that are practiced or were practiced here in America. As we know right now, the lethal injection is the big one, and the firing squad is starting to make a comeback in some states. So it is imperative to look up your state's capital punishment laws, look at your state's capital punishment rules and regulations and all of those good things, okay? But again, here's the list. So let's talk about number 1, lynching, okay? Hanging and lynching. We know that lynching and hanging was used to create and initiate fear through who? The Ku Klux Klan at the time. And we know that hanging and lynching possibly happened somewhere in America, whether it's utilized for crime or not, it's happening, okay? Electrocution, let's move on to electrocution. Electrocution, okay? Think of like power going through to turn on your TV, or power to start your car, or power lines, okay? Power lines. Or just think of whatever is used, electricity basically, whatever is used to turn something on, okay? So people have been put to death through electrocution, okay? Electrical shocks. And I would like for you guys to go and look some of this stuff up. I mean, it's very interesting as far as capital punishment, okay? Lethal gas, basically a gas is put into a chamber or something like that. The individual is basically put in there, strapped down, of course, where they are not allowed to run around, cover their face, any of that good stuff. But smell the gas, and then the gas eventually stops the heartbeat. The next one is lethal injection, which is one of the big ones that have been talked about over the years and through the centuries. And lethal injection, okay, basically it's a shot that goes into an individual's arms. During my research and during my study, I have found out that when it comes to lethal injection, there are some that are 3 steps. So there's 1 injection, stop, pause. The second injection, stop, pause. The third injection, and then stop, pause, and watch the individual in that fate, okay? So lethal injection, all right? There have been so many errors with lethal injection since they started capital punishment here in America. A lot of it has to do with human error, which we will talk about if you stay tuned. And the 5th one is making a comeback, ladies and gentlemen, the firing squad. So basically, in the firing squad, you have a 3-member party, okay? And 2 people have rubber bullets. It is, well, that's what it said. 2 people have rubber bullets, and there's 1 person with the official bullet in the gun. They aim for all of them are aiming for the heart, and they shoot, and then bam, that ends that individual's life. Now, as we know, and as some of you might not be here to understand and know about capital punishment has been in action for many years. Capital punishment is not really going anywhere, if it makes sense. And the reason I say it's not going anywhere is because capital punishment is what defines countries. Capital punishment. Okay, how do we punish? How do we discipline? What is the number of people that we're going to punish and discipline in the capital punishment era? Okay, so again, the firing squad. And the firing squad is making a comeback, ladies and gentlemen. Go and look at the capital, excuse me, look at the firing squad. All right, the firing squad is making a comeback. And there are some people who are already chosen their fate with the firing squad. So go and look at that. When it comes down to executions, we know that there is human error. Just like I said earlier when I was talking about the word lethal injection. We know that humans make mistakes. We know that human error is a part of this life. When it comes to execution, which is again a form of capital punishment, form of capital punishment, we also see that it is not one of those things where you truthfully and honestly can do in a humane way. Now, the reason I say in a humane way is because when you kill an animal, and I want to talk about animals, I don't compare humans to animals at all. Okay, two different people, two different things. Animals are basically like livestock, and they have their own life. And humans are people who can breathe, talk, think, those type of different things. Okay, there's a separation between animals and humans. Okay, when it comes down to animals being killed, okay, you and I don't hear an animal talk. So if you go out and you slice animals, let's just say a chicken's neck, you let the blood drain, they do the kicking, they do all the little things that they do before they die, due to them having a nerve in that area, you hit that main artery or nerve, obviously the body reacts. They have a small brain, so it kind of does a little bit of things, okay? Pushes it out, letting them know something's going wrong. And then they end up croaking, dying, and then they'll harvest for put on your dinner table. But when we're talking about humans, let's talk about humans. You cannot really kill a human humanely. When a person is being put to death due to, let's just talk about murder. There are other ways that capital punishment is supposed to be handled, okay? And I don't know if I get into that, but there are other laws or other things out there for that would basically allow capital punishment. I think stealing is one of them. Stealing someone's livestock or something like that allows for that. I don't know if I'm getting into that, hopefully, but because I don't want to take too much time, but I want you guys to get capital punishment. When it comes to, let's talk about human error, there is a lot of human error in this. You're asking people who are not killers to kill someone. That's what you're asking when you're asking for capital punishments to be carried out or executions to be carried out. Botched executions. What is a botched execution? A botched execution is when equipment malfunctions or when human error causes something to happen that's not supposed to happen in carrying out the execution. Basically, we have botched executions, ladies and gentlemen. We have been having botched executions since executions have been practiced here in America. You have had people who are been able to tell you that, hey, they feel something. There have been people who have been basically suffocating. There have been so many things happening. There have even been people who have been electrocuted and did not die right then and there. They felt the execution. They felt the heat. They felt the pain. They felt the agony. They felt these things. And I'm not here to sympathize with people who are murderers, who murdered people and killed people because of they owed them something, or killed people just because, hey, this day I just didn't feel like doing the right thing. I went in somewhere and robbed something and boom, somebody got killed. I am talking about just, when I talk about these executions, botched executions, okay, I'm talking about botched executions as far as like a job being done by someone, a doctor, physician, whoever is entitled by the state to carry out executions. Now, when we talk about murderers and we're talking about people who deserve this, because there are people who deserve capital punishment, okay? I'm not talking about having sympathy. I'm just saying that these things happen. Now, when we talk about people who have been found guilty of a crime they did not commit because of interrogations and things like that, um, that's a hard thing because you can't undo an execution. But I want to talk about first, if a person really committed a murder, committed a senseless act on someone else, I believe that capital punishment, executions, lethal injections, or the firing squad is authorized, and it should be. I don't think there's, truthfully, in my opinion, when it comes to execution and capital punishment, I don't think there's truthfully and honestly a way where you can humanely kill somebody. I mean, if you're gonna humanely try to kill somebody, basically you don't need to carry the punishment out because again, humans are gonna be like, hey, I feel that, or whatever the case may be, because some things just don't stop your heart right then and there. Okay, as we know. So, I mean, that's that. Botched execution again has been happening for many years. It dates back to like 1980s to 1981, and before that time. Okay, you got to go back before that time where executions were carried out. Some executions went through fast, some went through slow. But I think that when executions were really started to be watched, looked at, and things of that nature, I want to say back in like the 1980s, 1981, things like that. So you can go look up executions and see. It still happens today in this 21st century. Okay, that was an execution I want to say back in 2021. Individual was choking. Okay, choked, and I think he died after he started choking, but he did experience some chokiness and some things like that. Again, that's why my belief is there is no humane way to kill somebody. Um, just because they're going to feel it, and that's because of you have nerves in your body, you have a brain in your body that's going to always tell you that something's going wrong. So again, there you have it. Um, I want to talk about something real quick about people who um, have been found guilty, but they did not commit the crime. So, as we know, there was a young lady out in Texas. Her name was Melissa Lucio. Hope that I said the name right, but I believe that's how you say it, Lucio, who was said, who has basically denied killing her child over 100 and something times. And she told the detectives, the investigators, she did not kill her child. If you go back and look at the story, some things happened. I believe her daughter suffocated or something like that, and basically she was put into an interrogation room. As we know, the interrogation room is not a fun room to be in. When you have people screaming in your face, you have people threatening your life. People are scaring you and frightening you and saying, this is what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. If you don't give us the answer, basically, we want, because that is their way of their trained teaching to basically scare someone to the point that they'll just give up information. Whether it's right or wrong information, they're just going to give up information. Why? Because they're afraid, they're scared, they're in an emotional state. They don't know what's going to happen. They are truthfully and honestly sincere about they didn't do it. But again, interrogators want to interrogate because that's their job, is to get these people or this young lady to basically owe up to something she didn't do. And when that happens, we know that anything which is a part of the Miranda rights, anything you say or do can and will be used against you in the court of law. So again, when you go into an interrogation room, understand your Miranda rights are still in effect. Anything you say, do, anything that you basically again say and do will be utilized against you in the court of law. So what does the court of law mean? It means when you go before a judge inside of a courtroom, they will then utilize you saying you owed up to the killing, even if you didn't. So again, understand your Miranda rights. So this young lady, again, basically told agents what they wanted to hear, because what happens? Exhaustion kicks in, and this is a tactic that they use over and over. No Supreme Court has ruled over that type of practice. There has been no state legislators that have ruled over that practice. As we know, that practice happens today. It is ongoing, and will be for ongoing until someone somewhere puts that into place, that interrogations are not utilized to initiate fear. It is to basically come and get people to basically confess if they truthfully did it, and if they did not do something, to basically confess and say, hey, I did not do it. Okay, because again, Miranda rights are in play, and Miranda rights will be utilized, whether they tell you this or not, in an interrogation room. We not only seen this with when it comes to capital punishment, we have also seen this in other cases that have happened here in the United States, where people have been maybe in an area, maybe not even in an area at all, sometimes, but they have been described as this person who created this crime, right? And they then what? They get this person, they find them, put them in the interrogation room, and they go through the whole motion. They go through day and night, just the same thing, the same same thing of, did you do it? Did you not do it? What happened? Where are you going? Where were you at? This is what this is being said. And they use all these tactics to scare you. So again, people get exhausted. And I think when exhaustion kicks in, that's when people just give up and just say, I did it, even though they did not do it. And in a capital punishment state of mind, you have to realize that once you say you've done something, even if you didn't do it, the state is going to run with it, and they're going to grant the capital punishment. So sometimes you have to let that exhaustion kick in, and things like that. But again, let me get back to the young lady. So she tells them over 100 times, I didn't do it, 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 I didn't do it. But again, exhaustion kicks in, and she goes, okay, I did it. And bam, here we are. She did get her stay at execution, and I'm excited for that. I don't think she would have probably got a stay if it was not in the hands of the press. And what I mean by press, the news, because again, the news and celebrities make a difference. The more people know about something that's about to go wrong, or somebody's about to be, an execution is about to be carried out, even though someone did say they didn't do it, but because people know, obviously, the states and all of them get together and they start ruling in the favor and say, okay, we got to get this stay of execution, which is what stay of execution basically means, that the execution is not going forward. They get a stay basically. And some go back to court to prove their innocence. And I think and I believe that when you get an opportunity to, which this young lady is going to do, she's going to go back to court and show that she's not guilty in this matter, and it's going to help her. But I want to talk real quick. What is an interrogation room? What is interrogation period? So interrogation is when you're put into a room. It could be put into a police patrol car. It can be put into a Connex box. I mean, whatever they have to put you in, put you into a room and question you about the incident that pertains to the case, and question you about things, question you and make you say things that you didn't say, make you contradict yourself, make you become a hypocrite, make you become a liar, make you become a storyteller. That way they can use this inside of the court of law to basically fulfill what their intentions was, to make you confess to something that either you did or didn't do. And sometimes people that do it, they confess, and sometimes they plea out. Sometimes people, not knowing the law, can really hurt you and hinder you. What makes interrogations bad? I know you're probably thinking like, wow, but what makes an interrogation bad? What makes an interrogation bad? I'm glad you asked that question. I'm glad that question is on your mind. And I'm going to talk about what makes it bad. Interrogations become bad when you are lied to, when you are manipulated, when you are forced to say you did something just so the interrogator can say, we got them. So knowing the law as well as your rights is crucial, especially when capital punishment is on the line, especially when life is on the line, especially when 5 to 10 years inside of a prison facility is on the line. Probation is on the line. Whatever's going to hinder your lifestyle is on the line. It is crucial to know your rights and know the law, because this situation can be put, anyone can be put into it. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care if because you're black, white, Chinese, African. It does not matter. Anybody can be put in an interrogation room at any given time because, again, human error. All right. Interrogation is a bunch of human error. So it can happen to anyone, but I want to just say this. It can happen to any of us, especially minorities. And the reason I say minorities is because we see minorities all the time, in movies, in history, in the news, basically being bamboozled, tricked into believing that, oh, they're going to let me go home after they question me. I'm going to get a chance to see my family because that's what they told you. You tell us what we want to hear, we'll give you your family, we'll give you food, and you do it. And that's the biggest mistake you can make, is putting your trust in someone who's already interrogating you, someone who does not have your best interests at heart, someone who is trying to get you to say you did something so that they can go home and sleep at night, and that they can basically just lock you up because, again, hey, their job is done once you say you did it, even if you didn't do it. So how does this all happen, right? How do they get someone to basically say that, oh, I did it? Fear. Fear is the reason many people are locked up, even though they didn't do it, even though they didn't commit crimes. Fear. When someone tells you, if you confess, instead of you doing 15 to life, you'll do 5 years minimum with the possibility of probation and parole, right? So people say, because, and then another thing is, at that same time, they're telling you, they're going to find you guilty regardless. They're going to find you guilty regardless. They're going to find you guilty regardless. Doesn't matter. And you're like, I didn't do it. Doesn't matter. I'm going to find you guilty regardless. And that is the number one thing, fear. Fear makes you exhausted. Fear makes you do things that you don't and never envision doing. Because that's what happens. Fear. What is fear? What is fear? Fear is an unpleasant feeling, an unpleasant emotion, okay? And it's caused by the belief that someone or something is going to harm you or put you in a dangerous position. It is likely to cause heartache and pain. It is also likely to cause depression, anxiety, and a threat to you and your mental health. That's what this stuff does. Capital punishment, ladies and gentlemen, I'm for it. Yes, I'm for it. But I believe that if at the same time, you have to have evidence, proof. Somebody saying they did something does not really give me the proof or satisfaction if I'm a judge, because where's the evidence? You're entitled to a trial. You're entitled to a speedy trial. You're entitled to me being biased and not putting my emotions or my feelings involved in it, because a lot of judges put their feelings into sentencing people who done nothing wrong. They will give people who done nothing wrong the capital punishment, the execution. And all I'm gonna say is this, and y'all know I'm a true believer in God. I'm a true Christian. And I know you're saying, well, the Bible says thou shalt not kill. Yeah, the Bible says thou shalt not kill, but there are punishments that the Bible has put in place for people who have killed people. All right? And if you look biblical times, they would stone people, basically kill people. All right. That's why I say there's no humane way to kill somebody. There isn't. It's never a humane way to kill somebody and take somebody's life. And I think that when it comes to just this capital punishment stuff, I think that a lot of people are not for it. And I think what makes people not for it is because of all the errors of first you have the wrong person, then you're going to take the wrong person, you're going to put them to death. 30 years later, someone's going to come and confess, say it was them, and then you got a person whose life you took, and you don't get the opportunity to go and dig a grave and put life back into that body. You don't get that chance. So I think that when it comes down to capital punishment, I think that judges, and more so, judges need to be more biased to the incident and the color of a person's skin and the race and all of these big things that they make decisions based off. If it's a kid, they go harder. If it's a woman, they go harder. If it's a man, depending on his ethnicity, they can go harder. If it's a black man that being killed, sometimes they don't go hard because that's the system. There is no humane system in the judicial system. There is no humane system in the courts of law. It just isn't. And I think that a lot of people need to learn how to have mercy. And I'm gonna tell you, I have mercy on people. I really do. But I think if you go into someone's house and slaughter people while they're sleeping, you're just because, or you decide you're gonna go in someone's house and just spray or drive-bys or rape someone and kill them. Yeah, by all means, let's make this thing happen, okay? But if someone's not guilty, I think that we let them go. States, go ahead and pay those people for all the years that you wasted, okay? Because taxpayers, we pay money to feed inmates, to house inmates. Our tax money goes to that stuff. And those same people get out and they're sometimes are upset. And I would be upset if I'm put inside of a facility for many years just because you decide that you want to allow me due process the correct way and actually prove my innocence when I could have done it many years ago. And then at the same time, I think that interrogation training needs to be done differently. Waterboarding people and making promises and threatening people, and that stuff needs to go out the window. Because at the end of the day, an interrogator can't tell me what a judge is going to give me. They can't. They can't tell me. The only thing they can say is before you go before a judge, you're going to get sentenced. You're going to get something, some type of punishment. That's the most they can say. But when they're telling you that you're going to get life, you're going to get life, you're going to get lethally injected, you're going to be injected with the chemical that's going to kill you, tell us what we want to hear and we can save you the headache. And then boom, you basically get exhausted from fear and you basically just throw it out there just to get them off your back. And here you are on death row going to be basically killed. I think that's really harsh. I really think that's bull. I really think that America really needs to do a better job at the way they carry out punishments. I think that they need to do a better job at in the judicial system. I think they need Department of Justice to actually step up and get rid of all those slave rules and slave laws that they have been utilizing for many, many centuries and many years because they can't get past a person's color of a person's skin. Like if you can't get past the color of a person's skin, obviously you have issues with yourself. Obviously you have issues with God himself. Obviously you have issues with just mankind in general because no one gets to tell God what color they are. No one gets to tell God what parents they want. No one gets to tell God, in my lifetime, I don't never want to go through this because there are things you're going to go through. And sometimes you run into those incidents you don't want to go through, and putting somebody's life in jeopardy behind capital punishment because of something they did not do is really, really just showing the true colors of this country that everyone says is great. And I'm trying to figure out, when was America great? Was it great when the Native Americans were here? Or was it great the day Christopher Columbus claimed he found the new earth? Like, tell me when America was great. And again, I'm not on that whole America is great thing. I'm on capital punishment. But I think that if America was so great, we wouldn't even be going through half of the stuff with capital punishment, of many people trying to get a stay of execution, that when they committed the actual crime. People want stays of execution because they want to go back to the Supreme Court to be able to prove their innocence. And I think that the Supreme Court needs to take all cases. Why? Because it's an opportunity for someone to actually turn the tables and say, look, I did not do that. Let me be able to prove my innocence. Because while you're behind bars, while you're locked up, you learn more about law and how law is. And you start realizing, like, people are not for you that claim they're for you. And I mean, when I mean by that, I'm talking about the basically judicial system and people that job is to get you locked up. Their job is to get you to confess to something you didn't do, whether you did it or not. Their job is to basically exhaust you, to put fear into you, to bring damnation to you, to make you look like the bad individual all around. Because one, you don't know law. Two, you don't know law. Three, you don't know law. Okay, and you don't know your rights. All right, because again, you've never been in trouble, so you're not worried about your rights. Most people don't even know the Miranda rights. All right, but again, they will talk and they will scream until they can. But you know, they never utilize the part where you say, I didn't do it. They always use the part where, yeah, they confessed to doing it, but they never tell them that you never said that you didn't do it. And for people to be locked up behind this, and I'm about to be done, for people to be locked up for 50-something years, 30-something years, 20-something years, 10-something years, 5 years, 2 years, 1 year, 30 days, 60, how many days they get locked up? It's just too long, especially when they didn't commit the crime. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want you guys to go look up capital punishment. Look at these cases. Look at where people are innocent in the whole case, and they still run them like they are guilty. And some people have went to their grave not guilty because of the lethal injection. You get a last meal. It doesn't mean that you committed a crime. It just says, hey, you know, it is what it is. And I think that's where a lot of people have been at in past years. It's just it is what it is, because again, the laws, you know, it's not a fair system. And I think when people start realizing like it's not a fair system, they take the punishment, and the person who did it walks away scotch-free. In everything that's made in life, there is human error. There will be human error. It will always be human error. Why? Because we're not robotic. We're not gods like everybody say we are. If you were a God, you wouldn't make a mistake. If you're a God, you wouldn't get sick. If you were a God, you would be merciful. If you were a God, you would be justful. And you're not. No one is. Everyone just kind of just their own people. And they look at things differently depending on the person's skin tone. Was it a male? Was it a female? Was it a black? Was it a white? Was it a Chinese? Was it a Japanese? Was it an Asian? Was it a German? Was it a Polish person? Was it a French? Was it an Indian? All this stuff goes into play. So again, ladies and gentlemen, look up capital punishment. Number 2, go out here and learn your laws, know your rights, learn the Miranda rights. And number 4, don't let no one interrogate you and make you say you did something that you didn't do. All right? Let them do their job of finding you guilty by presenting evidence. Again, guys, ladies and gentlemen, that's my time. I'm David, aka Preacherman, and I hope that you learn a lot about capital punishment, because capital punishment has so many errors in it when it comes to putting people under the ground, 6 feet. It also has human error in the judicial system. And our courtroom have hella wrong errors inside our courtrooms, because we have people that are basically giving out punishment, who have no mercy, who don't see who just see color. And when people see these type of ways that are wrong, they do things inhumanely. So again, that's my time, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that this really helped. I want you to also look up that case of the young lady in Texas who, I think her daughter died. I think it was through suffocation or something like that. She told the people she didn't kill her kid. Her name is Melissa Lucille. Look her up. Look her up, ladies and gentlemen. It might change your life. Until next time, this is FrazierChronicles, and I'm the face, David, aka Preacherman.